Hello everyone, I'm Life Winner, and I'm very excited to be here today to share some insights on investing. I've been discussing market trends, investment strategies, and economic developments with you on a weekly basis. First of all, thank you all for taking out your precious time to listen to me rant. Don't worry, I won't let you fall asleep. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the CPI. So keep this handbook for analyzing price indicators. John Smith, New York City. John is a cab driver whose monthly fuel expenses have increased by about $100 due to higher gasoline prices. Maria Garcia in Los Angeles. Maria is a single mother who has seen her weekly grocery bill increase by about $50 due to rising food prices. David Johnson, Chicago. David is a retiree who relies heavily on Social Security for his regular income. His rent is rising about 5% per year due to increased housing costs. Sarah Lee, a real estate investor in Dallas. Sarah focuses on commercial real estate investments. Fluctuations in the CPI affect her expectations for rent and property values. When the CPI rises, she may raise rents to combat inflation, but this could also lead to tenant turnover. Friends, what do you think? Let's be honest. The economy is a potpourri of everything right now, with many Americans complaining about the rising cost of living, inflation, interest rate fluctuations, and supply chain disruptions. It's an investor's nightmare. But don't worry, there are ways to meet these challenges. In today's economy, the Consumer Price Index, CPI, has become an important indicator of inflation. Whether we're shopping, paying rent, or pumping gas, changes in the CPI have a direct impact on our daily lives. This video will take an in-depth look at the definition of the CPI, its weighting ratios, and its impact on the general public and investors, helping you to better understand this key economic indicator. Welcome viewers and subscribers to our channel. I am your friend, Life Winner. The U.S. Consumer Price Index, CPI, has experienced significant volatility in recent years. Here are some of the key figures. 2022, CPI year-over-year increases exceeded 8% for 5 consecutive months, reaching a nearly 40-year high. 2023, CPI increases ease, but remain high. As of June 2024, the CPI was up 3.0% year-over-year. Fluctuations in energy and food prices are important factors affecting the CPI. In July 2024, the CPI rose 2.9% year-over-year, with fluctuations in food and energy prices moderating. Food prices rose 2.2% and energy prices rose 1.1%. But the cost of housing for the average citizen to live in accounted for 90% of the monthly CPI increase. Fluctuations in the U.S. Consumer Price Index, CPI, also have a significant impact on investors. San Francisco's Elon Musk. Elon is not only the founder of Tesla and SpaceX, but also an active investor. Fluctuations in the CPI affect his investment decisions in tech stocks. When the CPI rises, the market's expected yield on tech stocks may fall, making him more cautious when investing and potentially moving to more stable assets. Wall Street investor Michael Bloomberg. Michael is a veteran investor who manages a large hedge fund. His investment strategy requires frequent adjustments due to the volatility of CPI data. Jane Doe, retired investor, Chicago. Jane relies on her portfolio to make ends meet. Her fixed income investments, such as bonds, can suffer due to fluctuations in the CPI. When the CPI rises, bond yields may rise, causing bond prices to fall. This makes it necessary for her to reevaluate her investment strategy to ensure that her retirement income is not affected too much. The CPI, or Consumer Price Index, measures the change in the average price level of a fixed basket of consumer goods and services. A higher CPI indicates a higher rate of inflation, while a lower CPI indicates a lower rate of inflation or deflation. The U.S. Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC, typically aims to keep inflation around 2%. The committee uses the Consumer Price Index to determine whether changes in economic policy are needed to control inflation. If the figure rises above 2% and remains high for an extended period of time, the FOMC can raise interest rates to control price increases. Changes in inflation rates and their expectations will have a ripple effect on stocks, bonds, commodities, and portfolios. This is why traders are so interested in the monthly Consumer Price Index. There are two ways to read the data here. One is to compare the released numbers to forecasts and previous releases. The other is to compare it to the Federal Reserve's, Fed, target. The projected change in the Consumer Price Index, CPI, for July 2024 in the United States. Analysts believe that if the CPI data is lower than expected, it could bring a rebound for the market and increase the possibility of the Fed cutting interest rates in September. The Bureau of Labor Statistics publishes the Consumer Price Index once a month at 8:30 a.m. EST. You can find the schedule for previous and future releases on the Bureau of Labor Statistics website. CPI base period rotation refers to the periodic adjustment of the base year and weight allocation used in the CPI calculation. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, conducts large base period adjustments every 5 years and smaller adjustments every year. The primary purpose of the base period rotation is to ensure that the CPI accurately reflects current consumer spending habits and market price changes. For example, the latest base period adjustment changed the base year from 2015 to 2020. In this adjustment, the weights of housing, medical care, and transportation were increased, while the weights of food were decreased. The impact of this base period rotation on the CPI and PPI month-over-month indices averaged about 0.03 and 0.05 percentage points. The overall impact is relatively small. Determination of the weights of various items. Percentage of major component items of U.S. consumer prices. Year-on-year is a direct comparison with the same period of the previous year. Apart from eliminating some seasonal factors, it is a more stable reflection of the actual trend of commodity prices compared with the chain comparison. Food and beverage and housing account for the largest shares, 13 to 15% and 30 to 40% respectively, and have a significant impact on the overall CPI. Energy and healthcare and health insurance at 6 to 8% and 7 to 9%. Price fluctuations can significantly affect the CPI. Clothing and apparel and transportation services, relatively small percentages, but still have some impact on the CPI. These weights help to provide a more accurate picture of actual consumer spending, and thus a better measure of inflation. A number of people who invest in housing and rentals believe that yes. However, the CPI cannot reflect fluctuations in asset prices. The CPI does not include asset prices, such as real estate and stocks. Asset prices are usually affected by a variety of factors, such as investment demand, interest rate changes, economic outlook, etc. CPI measures changes in the prices of goods and services that are closely related to the lives of residents, such as food, housing, transportation, and healthcare. PPI reflects the changes in the factory prices of industrial products, including production data and living data. Transmission mechanism. PPI is usually regarded as a leading indicator of CPI because changes in producer prices are gradually transmitted to consumer prices. Inflation is a hidden tax, which imposes a tax on all those who have money in their hands, deposits in their banks, and future monetary income. And it is not a very fair tax. It is not levied according to the amount of property, but only according to the amount of currency held. Joe Biden, RO, and now Kamala Harris, DCA, seem to have been perplexed that voters don't realize that the U.S. economy is in good shape. U.S. economic growth is stronger than in other developed economies. Inflation is falling, unemployment is below 4%, and real wages have been rising. Yet consumer sentiment is lower than at any time since the Great Recession. Even Paul Krugman, a Nobel Prize-winning economist, is perplexed. What do you think, viewers? Feel free to discuss in the comments section. Well, that's it for today's video. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, I hope you will like and subscribe to our channel.